again, everyone. This is Cazual, and this is Casual Conversations, where we get information from people who are important to our world. Today, we have back our very special guest. He's not back through time this time, but he is today. And here is Larry French. Hi, Larry. How are you again?
Hey, Kaz. Good to see you.
Well, you kind of dressed a little unique this time, but we're in today's times. We're not time traveling. In case people want to see the time travel piece, we'll put a link in the video here below or above or wherever it is these days so they can watch that again and come back here if they want to. It's a really cool piece going back to Civil War time period, I believe is what we did, correct?
Correct. Well, we'll try to catch up with the present in this one.
That's the way to go. So I know that you are let me remind people, a novelist. You wrote 2 novels, and tell me a little bit about those.
Okay, the first one we talked about earlier was the other session was Time Will Tell, The Awakening, and it's more of a 19th century story, adventure, science fiction one that involves time travel. I wanted people to know more about the history of the United States and, more importantly, what Florida was like right at the end of the American Civil War. And then the second one, the one we'll talk about today, is Grand Hotels of West Volusia County, which is based on a lot of research I did right here where I do my tours and historic tours.
Whoa, tours. So tell me about those tours, Mike. So you take people to and show them, what do you show them back there? And where in Florida is it? Yes,
it's historic downtown DeLand. And what we do is we actually do tasting tours where we take folks on either a little shopping trip or a beverage sampling trip. It's a sip and shop, or we take them on a brews and browse or even a food sampling tour. So and each time, every tour, they get a little bit of the history of what this unique town is like. And you'll see a little bit more about that as we go through here. And that's why I wrote the book. It's full of history, the town of DeLand, over 160 years worth of it, and we try to share them with our tours.
So there's a little Peanuts cartoon that kind of inspired you to do this?
Oh, yeah, you see that down below. I found, and from my work when I was there, not only in DeLand, but a lot of places, oftentimes those landmarks and buildings get eliminated and destroyed, and they're gone forever. And you don't have classic buildings like this one here, the Athens Theater, which is kind of the namesake of DeLand. It's sometimes nicknamed the Athens of Florida, that are these buildings that were built over 160 years ago that have an ambiance and a style about them you just don't see in everyday towns today. They're unique. People love the way they look.
It's a unique person right there.
Yeah, now that is Henry.
Give him some space, all right? He's time traveling.
Over for him. He was a pretty big, important guy in DeLand. That's how the name of the town got its name. It's spelled just like this fella is, DeLand, with a capital L in it. Henry.
He kind of looks like you. Is he a relative of yours?
Well, no, I don't think so. He was from New York. He came from Fairport, New York.
I gotta grow a beard. Look at that. I used to have a mustache.
Let me grow it that long. Henry started.
No. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, most of the people came down just like Henry on steamships back then because we didn't have the roads, we didn't have the railroads yet. So that's how just about everybody got here. And Henry did the same thing. But when he came to what was called Persimmon Hollow, he came up with a vision for a town, and that's how it got started. You had some of these historic built. Yeah, that's the old opera house. It actually was an opera house for a time. Now it has rented rooms up top side, and it's got shops down below and restaurants. But that's just one of the many historic buildings that are still in the town. Most of it was destroyed back in 1886 by a fire that nearly burnt down the whole town. And that's why you have all the brick buildings, because everything that was wood pretty much got burnt.
So, Larry, what kind of questions do people give you on your tours? Do you have some common questions that people always ask?
Well, a lot of them will ask me, are there any cellars in the buildings?
Yeah.
Oftentimes you won't find cellars in houses in Florida. And yes, there are cellars in a lot of these buildings. Many of them use them for storing different things. It was cooler down in the cellars. And so it's not uncommon to come in some of these historic businesses and they'll still have a cellar that they're using to store things in.
Well, I would think it to preserve food at a certain, like in the heat, it's hot on top, and the ground is a certain temperature. And if they, encase it and stuff, I'm sure it's like a refrigeration method.
Oh yeah, before that, before they got the electricity there, their ice had to come by steamship. So yeah, ice was a commodity. So any way you keep things cool, that would work out.
Now, what about this fancy building?
That is the Carlton Hotel, which is one of the early hotels I talk about in the book Grand Hotels. It was built by a man by the name of Draca, and he had a department store on the bottom floor, and the upper floors where the nice breezes were is where he had his hotel. And it's one of the buildings that survived the fire. This is what it looked like back in 1925 when he rebuilt it to match the codes that were required so that they didn't have wooden buildings anymore. He built this one out of poured concrete, and it's still there today. That's another view around the corner. Yep. It's got a cellar, or not a cellar, but it's got a downstairs. It had 4 floors. When he built it, he made it into a department store that for over 70 years was the place to go if you needed anything in Volusia County.
Wow. Well, again, you can go to LarryFrenchHistoricalNovelist.com, that long URL, but that's what he does. His name is Larry. He's historical. He's a novelist, and hey, he's on the web. So we're still not done, Larry, but let's keep on going. Just to let people know that's how they contact you, and 2 great books. Go get them on Amazon. Mm-hmm. Also, on your, where's the second book available again?
The second book, the one on the hotels, Grand Hotels of West Volusia, is available through Arcadia Publishing.
Okay. All right. So we have, I think, one more thing to cover here, the ironworks.
Oh, yeah. There are several ways that the town expresses its history to people, and that's what we do in our tours. We like to let people know about the history we point out some of these historic markers that give you backgrounds on the historic buildings, and all of these facets of the town tell the story. So it's like all the streets have their own stories, and if you don't know how to unlock them or see them, sometimes through a visual mural, you can get a vision of what the history was like in DeLand, like in World War II when they had pilots being trained on these aircraft at the DeLand airport. And we share this information. People love it. They like to spend time in the town. They love the tours. GreatTastingTours.com is the website for that if they're interested. If they want to do a sampling tour and do wine tasting, or if they want to go shopping, or if they want to have the food tour, or sample beers and meads. That's what we do.
So Larry, I'm going to put you on the spot, okay? Because I just like to do that sometimes.
Go ahead.
Right, so, this hotel here that you showed, okay, pretend we are standing right there in front of it, sort of like that, looking at it today, all right? Mm-hmm. And you described to me, so Larry, what is this great-looking building here? Anything important happen in there?
Yes, I would say that was the Draca building. That back in its day, the more modern version, this one here survived the fire because it had water tanks on the roof, and the owner drug everybody out of their rooms, had them hang mattresses and sheets over the railings and dunk them with water so that the wooden building wouldn't catch fire. Now, the concrete one is unique in that the second floor there was dedicated only to women. It was the ladies' floor. And it also, at the one end there, you saw in the picture, it had a theater.
Ladies' room at a theater. Okay.
Yeah, it was the ladies' floor. Men weren't allowed on that floor. The ladies' floor.
Wow. Wow. So that proves that you know what you're talking about, Larry. I hate to put you on the spot, but just have to prove to the audience that you are real in that sense. So, they can go to Florida. They can see you in person, meet you, and you give them a great tour and tasting tour, building tour.
That's right.
And back in history through your novels.
That's right. And if they're interested in that book, they're going to find a lot of rare photographs of those old hotels, the interiors of them. There's pictures of what some of those floors, especially the one I mentioned about the Draca, the women's apartment. There's a lot of old photographs people have never seen of some of these hotels. And of course, most of them are gone. There's only a few just like that one there that are still here.
No, I know. I've lived mostly in New Jersey, but, travel about New Jersey has tons of history. The town I live in right now is celebrating 250 years of existence.
That's
Hillsborough,
great.
New Jersey. Kind of, I know there's a Hillsborough in Florida where you are.
Yes, there is.
This is New Jersey, okay? And New Jersey is New Jersey. That's all I can say to you, okay? New Jersey. So.
Hey, it's okay.
A little competition, between the Hillsborough is good. And I think you're spelled the same way, right? Rough? Some place you spell it the same way?
Oh, Hillsborough, yes.
Rugh?
Yes. And actually that county actually has a river in it that actually has rapids in it. Which some people are unaware. Yeah, there's actually a section where there's some cataracts where you have some rapids on the
rapids. I thought you said rabbits.
No, rabbit. Yeah, rapids. The rushing water over rocks.
Oh, it's the Florida accent. Rapids, rabbits.
Some of my characters slipping in.
But there you go. See, they had rapids back then too. I know. So.
Oh yeah, we have rabbits too.
So if someone just is encouraged to go on a tour, like, why should they spend the time with you and going over and outside and why should they take a tour of anywhere?
Well, most people like to either shop, eat, or drink. And if you can have a combination of those and some entertaining history at the same time, it's a good formula for a good experience overall. And that's one of the things that we find out when we do our tours. People love to learn about it, and they experience it, and they come back for more, and they tell other people about it too. And that's what we're all about. We want people to know about the history.
So, Larry, you plan another novel?
Yes, I am. I'm working on a sequel to the Time Will Tell, The Awakening. I want to have a little bit more of a tie into today's history, so people can look for a possible sequel.
Possible? Come on, yeah. You said you're doing it. It's not possibility anymore. Well, you have to do it.
Well, I have to make sure it gets published.
Well, yeah, I know, but you said you're working on it, so you did the first two, so the third one should be snap.
That's right.
Stay positive,
I try to be as positive as I can, but the marketing world and publishing is pretty challenging today. Yeah. Unless you go into self-publishing, but self-publishing is probably the best way to go.
Well, have you have like audiobooks of these books? Have you tried that?
Oh, not yet, but it's something I'm looking into because I have some friends who have.
Yeah, because you should do that, or just do some insert video clips where you're standing in town and you're talking about like a little segment out of it, so you're actually there. So reenacting, but reenacting your book about the reenacting of past time.
Kaz, you should take a vacation to historic downtown DeLand. I could use your camera expertise.
We'll do that. Maybe we'll do a live one right from there next time.
Yeah, I could take you on a tour, a little mini tour.
A mini tour? Oh, I don't get the full tour. I get a mini tour?
Well, it's a 3-hour tour.
The mini is a 3-hour tour?
No, that's how long the regular tour is. I don't know.
My God. Well, at least it's on the ground mostly, right? You don't like any boats and stuff.
It's all walking, but it's all worth it, believe me.
Oh, no, walking is great. It's always healthy for you and doing great stuff. And any final words, Larry, of advice to people about history?
Yes, I would say keep your history alive, share it, and make sure people know as much about it as possible. I like what Theodore Roosevelt once said about it. He says, the more I learn about history or know about the past, the better I'm prepared for the future. And I think that helps us all in a lot of ways.
That's right. And always, wherever you're on tour or talking to somebody, or meeting them, have casual conversations, because that's how you learn about people and you learn about history. And it's all a good thing for everybody. Share your history. Don't lose it, right?
Yes, sir. It's been a pleasure chatting with you today.
Thank you. I love the hat. I'll have to get one when I come visit you.
Comes in handy in the Florida sun.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.